So, good morning. You're most welcome, Josephine, for this lesson. And it's our first class with you. And I think you're ready to learn a lot, right? Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So, I want us to just go straight to our first, to the guideline of what we shall do today. Our course objectives of today is, first of all, to understand some of the text editors that are used in website development. And then we shall see what are the factors we always consider when we are choosing these text editors. And then we shall try to download the Visual Studio Code. I don't know whether you already have it or you don't have it so far. You have it?
Downloading what?
Visual Code Studio.
Having what?
Visual Code Studio. You already have it?
No.
Okay, then we shall see how to download.
No.
We shall see how to download. Then later on, we shall also launch a project on a Visual Code Studio, how to save and how to launch it and how to start using it. Because it is also possible you might be having it when you don't know how to use it or you don't know how to launch it. Then we shall also see that. Then we shall start writing our codes and see how we can save our codes and how our code saved when we are having the project. I think we're okay there so far.
Yeah.
All right.
Somehow.
Somehow.
A little bit of it.
I better repeat again, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eh?
We shall check on how to download a Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is one of the text editors which is used for writing HTML codes, right? So we shall see how we can download into our local machine and how can we use it. Understand?
Yeah.
Now you're clear. Okay. It's also very good for us to know other text editors which are used in website development or other text editors where you can write your HTML. When you talk of text editors, these are where you write your text. It's just like Excel sheets, PD, it's just like, let me say PowerPoint, let me say Microsoft Word, where you can write. So HTML also have a specific text editors where you can write your codes. Okay. So that is what we're trying to see. We also have to understand some of these text editors because you cannot know only one. You'll get surprised when you're talking about writing codes and somebody asks you, what do you use? For me, I use Sublime. For me, I use Notepad++. And if you don't know any of them, you'll maybe think yours is not correct or yours is not working out, right? So it's also good to learn on other text editors like Visual Code Studio, which we shall actually use. And you have to know how do they operate. Like Visual Code Studio is a open source code editors. Open source means what? When you say open source, do you understand? Somehow. Yeah, when you talk of open source, these are like softwares which are developed and they're free to be used. You use it free of charge. They are not charged, not like commercials whereby you have to use it while paying the license. This one you can just download free of charge and use it. So we have Visual Code Studio, which is free of charge. You can just go to the Microsoft website or Visual Studio website, then you download it free of charge, which we shall see how to download them. Then later on, you can use it for writing your codes. We also have another one, which is Sublime Text. Now, Sublime Text is also another text editors used by developers when developing a website. And it is also, for them, it is you paid. You always pay for them, but they always give you some free time to use it free of charge. They can give you like 1 month to use it for testing. Then after that, they will charge you. So that is one of the text editors, which is also used. And then we also have Atom. Atom is also another text editor, which for me, I've never used it. The same as to Brackets, which I've never used it, but I know it exists. And Brackets is also an open source text editor, and you can also use it for Windows. Now, if you see, you can always try to understand and learn on these other text editors so that you can just be, to know them, to understand them. But most of the time, we use either Sublime, Visual Code, and Notepad++. That is where most of the people use. But you can also understand like atoms, the brackets, and then so that you can also just know how do they use and how do they work and how do they operate, right? And then we also have Notepad++, and it's also another text editor. It's also an open source. Open source meaning is free of charge. You can also go and download and try to see how it also operates. Now, all of them have different characteristics or different properties. You get that some of them are plain, whereby they don't give you the highlights. And then what another thing is, we shall see when choosing these text editors, what you consider. But you realize that some of them helps you in completing codes, auto completion of the codes, which is very good. Instead of you cramming the codes, it will help you to auto complete for you. Just by texting a one word or two words, it will help you to complete for you the words. Then also help you in giving you the syntax, whereby you need to use in maybe when you need to use the syntax in your coding. So some of the advantage of these text editors, maybe when it comes to choosing, those are the factors that you have to look at while choosing these text editors. We also have another one called TextEdit. TextEdit is also another text editor which is also used. So you can also check out for this, but basically in our classes we shall be using Visual Code Studio. Okay. And let us see. And we also have others which I have not leveled to explain them. We have others like BB, Edit, Emacs, Vim, IntelliIDEA, and then Notepad. Now, Notepad comes automatic immediately you install your Windows. It comes embedded into your Windows. Now, the difficulties with this Notepad is basically used for the startup, mostly in schools, when you're just starting to introduce HTML to students. You realize that most of the teachers will tend to use this Notepad because it helps students to understand basically what the code is and try to remember. Because when you introduce them to Visual Code, they will tend to relax, like, I don't have to cram these things, okay? Now, by the time they don't master even the startup of all the structures of this HTML, they will get always problem when maybe somebody who is setting a computer for them fail to put the Visual Code, or they get a computer without a Visual Code, they tend like they will not do anything. So Notepad is always good for the startup, and it is basically free of charge, and it is whether you install it or you don't install it, it will automatically in your computer. You can just go to the startup menu and type Notepad, you always get it there. So what do we do when, is there any question so far? Yes? You're still okay?
No,
You're not okay?
not really. We're good.
Okay, so what's the challenge?
I'm okay.
You're okay, right? Eh? So it is now,
Sorry?
you're okay, right?
Yeah, I am.
You'll understand when we go into the downloading part of it, then we shall understand. As already told you, we shall basically be using Visual Code Studio.
Yes.
The whole class, okay? So the other ones is just to let you know that others also exist apart from that. Now, what do we do when we're choosing these text editors? We have to check on the programming language that you're going to use. For example, we're going to use HTML and CSS. Does it work with the Visual Code? Automatically, it will work, right? So the programming language that you're going to use in your coding matters a lot when choosing these text editors. Then another thing is desired features. Now, the desired features is called completions, like, for example, syntax highlighting. Now, syntax highlighting, you get that, for example, when you're using basically JavaScript, there's always a lot of syntax whereby you have to play around with it. And then also HTML also have that beginning structure. So now this beginning structure, those are what we call a syntax. Now, you get that some text editors will not give you the syntax, and it is very hard to cram them or master them. But when you select a good text editors, like which will give you those syntaxes, it will help you always to work with the easy and have your code run very well. Then also debugging. There are some of the codes like when you go to C++ and C, which requires a lot of debugging. You get that some of these text editors will not help you in debugging, will not show you the error. Now, when you talk of debugging, it's just identification of error and fixing them, right? So you get that some of these text editors will not help you or will not guide you. For example, when you see like Notepad, whereby it's just like a Microsoft Word. For example, you can even write your code in Microsoft Word and just copy in Notepad, it will run. So it will not guide you in show you where the error is. But when you're using other text editors like Sublime or Visual Code, at least they show you where the error is and what you can do to fix them. Then another thing is the platform. There's some of these text editors which does not work in Windows or they work only in Macs or they work in Linux. So choosing the text editors also helps you and in depending on the platform that you're going to use in it. Then another thing is budget. Maybe you don't have money to purchase these text editors. For example, Sublime will start demanding you to pay after a month. Then you rather go for Visual Code, which is free of charge, or Notepad++, which is open source, and they will not demand you to pay anything. Then another thing is also personal preference. It also depends it also sees, sorry, let me pick this code.